Welcome to the Clocker Sports Roundtable discussion. This is the sixth roundtable that we've done. It's becoming a habit, man. I'm starting to, we were discussing future topics on the last episode, so I think that's a good sign that things are going well. I am Josh Buckhall. Follow me on Twitter at JoshyBuck. Hit the Facebook page, Clocker Sports, website, clockersports.com, email address, clockersports@gmail.com. We're going to go around the room as usual and have everybody introduce themselves. First up, Will Clark.
Yeah, gotcha. Will Clark, hit me up at BigWillC77 on Twitter and Instagram, and that's not the big wheel, the little vehicle. That's BigWillC77, and also William D. Clark, my government on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm basically on Twitter all day, every day at Tony Guzman Jr. So yeah, I'll be on there as much as everyone else.
I am Matt Dahlberg. You can find me on Twitter at M_Broski21. I host a podcast with Tyler Pearson. We talk grappling. We talk pro wrestling. We talk AEW, NXT, WWE, a little bit of indie scene, a little bit of NJPW. If you like wrestling, we are the show for you. But hey, check out my new article on the WWE and their shady practices, we'll call them. And yeah, be sure to follow the show, the website, all of that.
Y'all nickname is going to be the Alphabet Boys, all of them stuff y'all was covering. Ooh. Tyler?
Wow.
I love it.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I love it.
Yeah, there's some extra meaning behind that one. Go ahead, Tyler.
Can I pass on that? It's going to get real weird in a second, too. So, Tyler Pearson, Twitter is T_Pearson104. Numbers 10, letters FOUR. I swear to God.
Has nothing to do with the Alphabet Boys.
I'm not going to snitch on nobody. But yeah, like Matt said, co-host of the No Countouts podcast on the Graps. Also, I know it's been a minute, but I got the T for threes. I got my new setup now, so it might be a little bit easier to get those recorded.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's exciting.
Takes. So many takes. And the Twitter was, T_Pearson104. Facebook, Tyler Big T Pearson. The Big T is not my middle name. Same as Instagram as well, Tyler Big T Pearson.
All right. So, fellas, let's get right into it, man, with the story that we have to talk about. The reigning MVP and likely the next MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and his team, the Milwaukee Bucks, were unceremoniously sent home. Gentleman's sweep courtesy of the Jimmy Butler-led Miami Heat. That sparked a lot of discussion about Giannis's superstar credentials. Now, we have done a lot of discussion about him, not necessarily in that context, but it's come to that. And we've discussed his rankings, I guess, greatest European player. It was the him and Luka discussion. What do you think this does, though, to his legacy long term? Because personally, you saw Richard Jefferson tweet out that Giannis might be a Scottie Pippen, and everybody jumped on him. And is when you hear it, like, okay, on the surface, I get it being abrasive, but we see him not be able to finish. We see him get shut down routinely. That's not something that can happen if he's trying to be. If we're gonna, put up there with the other greats.
Yeah, you're right on that. The greats want to be, metal sharpens metal, iron sharpens iron, right? The greats want to be tested against the other greats to see where they're at, to see where they stack up. It's no secret, Giannis ducked Jimmy.
You think he ducked Jimmy? Wow, hot take number. You already recording the T for 3. Look at you.
No, but after Jimmy dropped 40 and they asked him if they had someone to do that, and he didn't step up and say, yeah, that's supposed to be me. He's the defensive player of the year.
I have to push back on this only because what do you want a power forward / center to guard a wing player for? I get it. Giannis is a freak of nature, but let's not act like Jimmy's not one of the best at his position, and it will there's a lot of wing defenders Jimmy's abusing. You know what I'm saying? I get it.
All right.
But
I'll come back with a question. What you want your 6'8", 260-pound can guard your centers, what you want him guarding the point guard for, wearing out his energy. LeBron locked down D Rose
in crunch time. And I understand your point there, but LeBron as an athlete, I think was a more LeBron was a more fluid athlete than Giannis. I keep hearing that one, and it bothers me because I don't know if you want to put a guy like a 6'11" dude, no matter how well he moves, on somebody 6'8" and who can move, who has guard skills. Like, it's not like Jimmy's a stiff,
but a wingspan of over 7 feet, nearly 8 feet, right? One of the longest wingspans in history as far as the league goes. He's called the freak for a reason. He's able to do these types of things. But what would you rather have him guard on that Heat team, though? Bam? You can argue as tall as he is, he might not have the frame for Bam. He might not have enough weight for Bam. So
you're right. You're right about that.
It's tough. It's weird because he's called the freak. You can almost slot him anywhere in any position. But it's like when you got cut by when you got so many wounds from so many different blades that Miami had for Milwaukee, with Duncan Robinson as well as Gordon, as Dragic went off as well. You had Butler. I mentioned Bam. Like, they got a lot of weapons, and Milwaukee doesn't have the D for that. Didn't have the D for that.
That's true.
Awesome.
Will, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, man? How do you feel about Giannis?
All right, I'll sit back. What's up, Will?
No, I'm just playing. Everybody was quiet. He's just like the D.
Well, I guess we broke the seal on that.
Okay, we're here already.
No.
3 minutes in.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Hey, now for real, this wasn't an accident. I mean, like you said, Josh, Miami causes a matchup problem. Remember that was your big upset. They cause a matchup problem for anybody, especially Milwaukee. You look at the record this year; they're actually 6-1 against Milwaukee. Miami versus Milwaukee this year. So Giannis bowing out. I mean, you can't deny his numbers, but it is also a team game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't expect Giannis to pull that whole team through when that offense is based off you knocking down shots, playing defense and knocking down shots. So
real quick, you brought up stats and his numbers, and you brought up him doing it by himself. Right. These are some numbers that I talked about on the last episode of Triple Zeros, and I'm giving to you guys here. In the fourth quarter of the playoffs, Giannis is averaging 5 points, 4 boards, and 1 assist. He's shooting 50% from the floor, 12% from 3, and 41% from the free throw line.
That's because the team, you know how it is in the playoffs, man. Teams go to another level, and they're going to take your biggest threat and try to take him out the game. And if you look at the defense, they throwing the kitchen sink at him. They throwing 2-3 people at him to get the ball out of his hand. And you come on, you can't depend on Eric Bledsoe to knock down shots. You look for Chris Middleton and Wesley Matthews to do that, and they, as a team, is shooting below 30% from the 3-point line in that series. Chris Middleton in the fourth quarter during the playoffs has been a 5-2-1 guy shooting 27% from the floor. That's what I'm saying. That's your other all-star. Right, exactly. This is your other all-star. Correct. And
if only they had one of the most accurate 3-point shooters of all time on that roster.
50-40-90 guy would have been really good for them, wouldn't it?
If only he wasn't unplayable in the playoffs, though. For as great as he shoots from 3,
Wait, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Kyle Korver.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Malcolm Brogdon, who was a guy that they had last year.
But nah, man, you had to pay Eric Bledsoe.
Right, that's what I thought you were going that road. Yeah, Kyle Korver's gotten some tick though. He's played. I know. I can't even mention Kyle Korver because of what he did with the Bulls in the playoffs and his shooting woes in
all these grudges.
That's what I'm saying. His shooting, just in his play. Nah, for real though. If you look at his career, in the playoffs, he's
Yeah.
another guy. Like you said, he's shooting below 30% three points in the playoffs. But during the season, he's shooting like more like 40%. From
Yeah, but to
line.
Tyler's point, he's a liability on the defensive end. You know, he only provides a spot up 3-point shooter. But the thing for me was that, yeah, exactly. The thing for me was that for the Heat, everyone else stepped up. You know, like everyone stepped up. Hero stepped up. Robinson stepped up. I'm like, who? Like, really? Robinson stepping up for you? Jay Crowder even, you know, was significant in the series. No one for the Bucks stepped up. It was all on Giannis, and until he went down with that ankle injury, then all of a sudden Chris Middleton wants to show up and force a game 5. You know, other than that, no one stepped up for the Bucks. So that was, you know, I never
my point
had the
exactly.
Bucks. Yeah.
That was my point exactly.
That reminds me of that quote that Jimmy said the other day, where he knows he doesn't have to go out there and be a superstar scorer. Yeah. He just has to go out there and fill whatever role that they have. And that's crazy to have your best player talking and thinking like that and playing that way. But like you just said, you get contributions from everybody else. It makes it easier for them.
And that juices everyone else up on the squad. You know, like that's helps everyone else out.
Matthew, you've been quiet. What's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that maybe it's not fair. Maybe we're a little tough on Giannis, but I think you look at these playoffs especially, there's another player who hasn't won a championship to the best of my knowledge, James Harden. And if you look at his numbers, especially the fourth quarter, those numbers look even worse, especially last game against the Lakers.
If you take away James Harden's free throws in the last game, he would have had 5 points.
Yeah, and that's someone who everyone has considered basically a foregone conclusion for an MVP in certain years. Not this year, but he's like a top 5 player the last 5 years.
I want to come back to that. Before we go to that, though, I want to ask you.
Sure.
What do you think Miami's title chances are?
I think
I got them coming out the East right now. I know you have Toronto, so that's why I want to. What do you think their shot is to get to the finals, and once they get there, to win it?
I think it's really close. I think no matter who comes out of that Toronto series that's going on right now and probably finish in the middle of this podcast, I think it's going to be another 7-game series. Miami's really, really tough. And I actually like the Eastern Conference teams more than the Western Conference teams for once. I don't know what it is about both these LA teams. They struggle with teams that I don't think they should be struggling with, especially with how deep they are and what type of stardom you have. Not just LeBron James, not just Kawhi, but you have people like Paul George being inconsistent and Anthony Davis. It's like, come on, guys. When it's, you know, it's Giannis by himself for the most part, except as like Tony said, Chris Middleton when he wasn't around. But yeah, I don't buy it. The East looks better this year, at least in the playoffs.
I think what we've seen a lot of is the teams with the star players, right, with those top upper echelon stars, are having a difficult time in this setting getting the bench and the role guys to step up.
That's true.
The stars are doing what they're supposed to, doing what they can. Paul George has been an exception because he was bad for a few games there. It was only like 2 or 3, but still it was bad.
Sure.
But those other teams, the Denver Nuggets stuff, they seem like they are clicking a little bit easier because their entire style is getting everybody involved. So it's never a matter of getting somebody in a rhythm. They've already been in a rhythm because that's your system. With the LA teams, they rely so heavily on the LeBrons, the ADs, the Kawhis, and PGs that when they aren't going, nobody else has had the chance to step up. You've seen just this game that the Nuggets extended the series on. Montrezl Harrell and Lou Will combined for like 5 points. Like they didn't give you anything.
I've been so disappointed in Lou Williams. He's been non-existent since his little whatever he had going on there. He's been non-existent. Montrezl Harrell has actually played well in the playoffs, but Lou Williams is the biggest disappointment on the Clippers so far.
I got it completely opposite of that. That's interesting. I think that Lou has been kind of showing up, at least more so than Montrezl. Montrezl has been out there getting good run. He's been working out.
Yeah, Montrezl was Montrezl coming off an injury, so he was starting slow to begin with.
He was out with his grandmother passed away.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, his grandmother passed away. May she rest in peace.
Well, don't tell Skip Bayless that.
Oh my God, that was a gross thing to say.
Oh,
like,
did you hear him double down on that?
And then tried to recreate what he said. And,
I didn't hear the double down on it.
Yeah, he tried to make up a new term.
Yeah, this specific time that he was depressed, I don't know, it was such a word jumble that it didn't even make any sense. He was like trying to apologize and then stay with it. It was really awful. Anyway.
You ever seen somebody moonwalk but in reverse? that's what this was. He tap danced but the wrong way.
Oh,
and it
no.
was really bad. It was bad.
First moonwalk.
So let's jump over to the Western Conference. We were talking about the Rockets, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and the disappointment that has been this past game. And there's been a lot of earned, I'll admit, flat coming at Russell Westbrook for the turnovers and the sloppy play that he had the past few games. Last game, though, like we just touched on, it was James Harden pulling his typical, or the disappearing act that we've come to expect. What do we see happening in this series, and then what do we see happening with this team in the offseason? Should it go the way we all expect it to go? We'll start with you, Tyler.
So, James Harden actually had an historic night the other night, believe it or not. It was game 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So game 4 was James Harden's 8th playoff game, shooting under 20% from the field.
Oh.
Hold up. It gets better. So LeBron, Durant, Kobe, and Jordan, that's 4 people combined, have done that twice. He's tied with, in the shot clock era, with Bob Cousy at that number. Surprisingly, Bob Cousy is the other person that has also had 8 playoff games shooting under 20% from the field. And that just kind of baffles me.
Ooh, that's rough, man. Look, and Matthew, you touched on it earlier, and I'm going to go back to you.
Yeah.
Harden's disappearing act is one that we've talked about, and he's a guy who's, openly stumped for MVPs. Won one, but he's openly tried to get one. Down talked Giannis winning his, and
Mm-hmm.
what do you think this does for his legacy personally?
Well, I think it's almost all but cemented. I mean, you look previous to this year, his playoff performances, other than this year in this series, it's been bad. Everybody talks about Harden being a choke artist. And we see over the totality of his seasons, so far, it's not even choking. This is him in the playoffs.
You got to show up to choke.
Right, exactly. So this is Harden. And we talked about people who, we were talking about what needs to happen to this team. It took so much to keep D'Antoni around for this year. He's gone. No matter what the result of this season is, he's gone. He's not signing up for this again. Are you kidding me? This is so dysfunctional where Chris Paul, and I love Chris Paul, but the team around him took them to 7 games. It still blows my mind. 7 games when they were told they're not going to be competitive for 5 years after that trade. And no, we meet you in the playoffs and we give you the run of their life, and they nearly got by them.
Should have got by.
Should have. I agree with that.
Tone, what do you see happening with this team in the offseason? Because we already know that the new owner, Tillman Fertitta, was already looking for ways to get under the luxury tax. A bounce out like this, could you see them breaking this squad up in the offseason, or do you think they're running back at least one more time to try to get something out of it?
I don't see why not. I mean, the Rockets are in such a terrible situation. Who do they really have other than Harden? And then he's been a disappointment consistently throughout the playoffs in his career. So I really don't know what's in store for them, but it's not looking bright, to be honest with you.
What about D'Antoni? Do you see him being able to rally these guys together, or do you think this will be his final hurrah too?
I've never been a fan of D'Antoni, to be honest with you. Like, he has one good year in his tenure wherever he's been, like with the Suns or whatever. Like, I've never really been a fan of D'Antoni and his offense.
No, I agree with that. You got to focus on the other side, so you can't.
Yeah.
That can't be. Now, I will admit he does focus on it more than he gets credit for, but it clearly is still not enough because you have so many gaps in what you can and can't defend. Will, and I kind of.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He was the Mike Martz of basketball.
Yeah. Stop. That's so low. I mean, I don't like D'Antoni, but I don't hate him that much.
I don't hate him.
They call Jay Cutler, Mr. Don't Care himself, called Mike Martz a genius.
Also,
and his best season was with Adam Gase. So look at the people that Cutler loves. Come on.
I mean,
Martz has a ring though.
Mike Martz doesn't like Greg.
He also
Olsen.
had Marshall
He
Falk
actually
and
catches.
Torrey Holt and
Yeah.
Isaac.
I
Bruce
know.
and Kurt
D'Antoni
Warner.
had Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire,
And still
Sean
didn't win.
Barry.
That's what I mean by the Suns. Like, man, he was stacked.
Boris Diaw. That was a stacked ass team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Will, we're talking about Harden, but the team adjusted itself a lot for Russell Westbrook, and that's kind of led to the criticism that he's been receiving. If they go out the way that they go out, do you see this being a bigger hit to Westbrook or to Harden?
This is a bigger hit to Harden because we already know what Westbrook is, and we know he a ball of energy. We know how he goes through these slumps all the time. But Harden, I mean, they both MVPs, but the way the people talk about Harden is the best scorer ever in the history of the NBA. Well, some analysts say that. They saying that he can take lift Houston up to that championship level if he can get past just get his shot and be consistent in the playoffs. He hasn't done that. How many years has he been in Houston now? 6-7 years. Like every single year, it's the same thing in the playoffs. And then I can't blame Russell for that because again, Russell is efficient when they let him play his game and not fit him into that D'Antoni system. He's not a shooter. No. You got to let him get to the basket and attack the basket. That's where he's more effective at. And then another thing, you look at we talking about it. Is Houston got a chance and they blow it up? Pretty much, because if they don't get some type of inside presence, this team ain't nothing but the Phoenix Suns from the early 2000s without Stoudemire. At least he was 6'10", 6'11". But you won't know why they losing. I'm just looking at the numbers from the last game against the Lakers. Rebounds. Mm-hmm. Lakers 52. Rockets 26. Mm-hmm. Offensive rebounds. Lakers 12. Rockets 1.
That's a given, though. I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, it's a given, but come on,
that tells you how efficient their offense. The offense has to be extremely efficient to overcome giving up that many extra possessions.
That's what and then as many threes as they shoot. They shoot more threes than any team in history.
You know what they could have used? They could have used Clint Capella.
Yeah.
In that series, isn't that wild?
I thought that was like an idiotic trade, but.
I get it. They want to open up the floor for Russ, but that's more of D'Antoni trying to fit people into his system than to fit his system to what he had around. And I think that's where
D'Antoni's system only works on 2K, bro.
If you'd have had Capella and Russ, you'd have had all the boards, and you'd have still had PJ, Eric Gordon, and Harden to shoot. Harden, there's a flaw in how they designed it, and we're seeing it happen now. So the cracks are definitely there.
It still wouldn't make a difference again because of Harden's history. With the shooting goals. What'd you say, Tyler? This is 8th game with shooting less than 20% from the field.
That was an incredible stat, by the way. That was insane.
For a minute, they came from the 4-11.
And I love Harden.
Yeah, bro.
I do too.
They need to look at Harden the same way they looked at Daniel House, though. We know Harden's habits. We know the man loves the nightlife, and he is a fan of gentleman establishments. I know it's hard to do that in the bubble, but I mean, Daniel House.
It's clearly not impossible.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Clearly not.
And in case anybody didn't hear, Daniel House has been kicked out of the bubble, by the way, for sneaking in a COVID tester into his room, a female COVID tester into his room on the campus without permission.
Did she get fired? That's what I want to know.
That's only one part of it. Daniel House is married with children.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, he was. Married with children.
He is a professional athlete. He still will be.
That's a whole other conversation. See, that's a different show altogether. So the LA team. Talking about the LA teams, we talked about how much we've seen them be inconsistent. The Stars have been dominant when they're on, but there have been lulls, and there have been, times when just the bench guys aren't really clicking. For the Lakers, you've seen Rajon Rondo return and kind of unlock some potential of that bench unit. For the Clippers, though, I'm concerned about their the droughts of Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, because their bench scoring is heavily reliant on those two. And also, Ivica Zubac in the middle does not seem to be up to the task of physical play. So I wanted to ask you guys, which of these LA teams do you have more faith in going forward? I still have the Lakers winning it all, but I'm not. It's getting closer every time I watch both teams play, even though the Lakers did look better than the Clippers did tonight.
Well, with playoff Rondo healthy and healthy LeBron James, I mean, he's always healthy, you know, and Anthony Davis, and that those three with those three playing the way they playing out, it's tough to see anybody beating the Lakers. Like I said, I can't bet against LeBron, man. That dude, the way he playing, and then hey, I give it to Alex Caruso. He having a good series.
Hoping.
So I mean, yeah, and like I said, with the Clippers, they too inconsistent. Again, they deep, but this is only their first year playing together, and it's like they go through those kind of low moments. And like you said, Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, they're not playing like the 2-man, 6-man
right.
on that team like they was during the season.
Yeah, especially in that last combined for 5 points, you said tonight?
Something like that. It was under double digits. I know they both struggled mightily.
The last 2 6-men this year and the greatest 6-man of all time combined for 5 points.
It's been the story more often than just tonight, too. It wasn't one game. This has been something that's been more consistent than them, either one of them scoring in double figures. Lou has been able to contribute more as a facilitator, but if Montrez is not scoring and providing that energy that way, like it seems like one end affects the other end for him. If he's not scoring, he's out there getting in foul trouble, getting blown by. You saw tonight he couldn't stay on the floor because he couldn't defend anybody. He's not big enough. So I just worry about that. Like that's not going to get it cut. That's not going to cut it against Anthony Davis, and you still got to deal with Dwight Howard and spurts JaVale McGee. Like that's not going to cut it.
No, not at the 5.
No, I think Montrezl Harrell still, even though he's not playing the greatest, I think he's still affected by his grandma's passing. You know, having to go to that funeral, then come to the bubble all that time away from his family. You know what I'm saying? I know how I was when my grandmother passed. You know, I was close to her, man, and me not being able to be with my family, I got to leave and go hoop. You know, my mind might not always be right there. So,
Matthew, what do you think? Whose bench do you have more faith in? Do you trust the Lakers' kind of mismatched bunch of the Carusos, maybe sparingly J.R. Smith? You get some Dion Waiters action in there. Kyle Kuzma, or do you have a little bit more faith that Lou Williams, Montrez will snap out of it and then be able to uplift guys like Landry Shamet, who's actually been a little bit more consistent than those two?
Yeah, it's interesting. If you asked me even 8 hours ago, I'd have said Clippers. But, I mean, you look at those names, and it's so strange. I don't trust players like Rondo because they have to have so much of the game dedicated to them in holding the ball, looking for that right pass. Whereas, you know, someone like Lou Will just goes 50% and he has a much bigger impact. So I trust the Clippers still a little bit more, although I say it is a really concerning game where everybody other than your big names really didn't show up. I mean, you said it yourself, not just the people on the bench, not just the big two on the bench, but there's only about 15 points off the bench total. When you score 105 points, that means 90 points were the starters. And that's just going to wear you down for the next series and the series after that, even if you get there.
Tom, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that the Lakers or the Clippers will be able to lock in first and be able to make this extended run to the finals?
I'm going to stick with the Clippers. My only issue is you brought up the point about Zubac. Zubac is such a liability on defense. If you watch tonight's game, whenever they switched on that pick, they score. I don't have the stats, but they scored nearly 100% of the time. It was so disappointing. Like, why are you switching on that? Zubac had either you drive past them or you're just gonna pull up for 3 at the wing there. I mean, it was so disappointing. I need to start betting on the Clippers in the first half because Josh, you tweeted about it. They have so many lulls for such a long period of time, whether it's the first or second half, they can't overcome that. It's so disappointing to see the Clippers play that way. And by the way, Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell combined for 10 points.
Oh, they did get double
10.
digits. Oh, okay. Okay.
Jeez, oh, yeah. That's a high note. Yeah.
Combined. These are two dudes who average 18 this season. 18 a game this season, giving you 10 points in the playoffs, in the closeout.
Oh,
that's bad.
I can't. See why the Clippers look so hard for another center. I mean, Joakim Noah was.
Did you see the rumor that they're going to be in the market or trying to trade for Giannis? Did you see that?
Well, they're desperate for anybody at least 7 feet tall, no matter what they're doing. Joakim Noah's on that roster for a reason. Like, insane.
Hey, Giannis might as well come a couple hours.
Come on south now. Listen, sure. I'm with you.
Couple hours south, man.
I'm with you. Just a couple hours. You can still go back up there to the family. You don't got to move little Liam or anything like that.
No.
He can stay. No, I'm sticking with the Lakers. They have seemed like the more consistent team, the team that can get it going a little bit easier. For the Clippers, Kawhi's been steady, but that's about all that I trust. Paul George has had the solid games, but I haven't seen him be the dominant force but for one game, and that was the one after everybody had already questioned him.
He's too passive, man.
Right. Well, that's an issue with that entire team. It's cool that Montrez is your bench guy with some energy like that, but who in the starting group other than Pat Bev, who outside of that isn't like he's giving you foul, right? They talk about he's a great defender, but really he uses up his fouls well. If we're being honest. Montrez is the guy, like I said, if he's not doing something well on one end, it seems to affect him on the other end. If that energy's not there, he's not effective and he should be off the floor. That's two key guys. They stopped using Reggie Jackson and he was one of their hottest shooters from deep.
I forgot about Reggie Jackson.
Exactly.
Out of sight, out of mind. Huh.
Tone, you were talking about Zubac, like I was saying. I'm not even really worried about him in the pick and roll. Nope, not too many big men can defend that well. My problem with him, and it popped up, it was key when Michael Porter Jr. blocked him at the rim. He has to get in the weight room. It was a big issue for him on the defensive end, but now you're letting the rookie forward, who is a very lanky player. I'm not going to say he doesn't have the length to do so, but he about $160 soaking wet. Like, you're not supposed to let him as a 5-man stuff you like that, and that's a common thing for him where he's not finishing or, again, getting bullied down low. That's going to be a problem against Anthony Davis, who, despite his knack for doing the fadeaway three or the fadeaway jumper, can bang down low and will make you pay for being soft down there. I don't trust that.
Unless Anthony Davis is injured, he a problem for everybody.
Well, no, and that's true. That's true. I'm not trying to sell him short. We'll be interested, though, and I hope they both reach it so that we can see the Morris twins face off in the conference finals. That'd be kind of dope.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Then you'll see them two getting into it because I feel like
there will be a fight.
The Morris twins are always getting into it with somebody.
So lastly, before we switch over to talk about the NFL making its triumphant return, I do want to ask you guys about the Bulls rumor. They are interested in the services of one Billy Donovan, former coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder. His contract has expired, and he will not be returning with them next season as they are clearly heading towards a rebuild. And I think he's looking more for a contender anyway. But personally, I wrote for Pippen Ain't Easy. He's not the dude. If for no other reason than when KD left, he did that subtweet. I don't know if you remember that, the burner account tweet where he kind of trashed the organization. He specifically named Billy Donovan. He didn't just leave Billy Donovan as part of the organization. He said he didn't want to play for that organization and for Billy Donovan anymore. So, that to me, and then he inherited a good team. I can't even say that he made them any better.
He did a good job this year, though.
Did Chris Paul?
That was Chris Paul.
Chris
Paul is
a young team.
Paul coach of the year.
Is that not a young team though? I mean,
yeah, it does.
So he didn't contribute at all. You're telling me he didn't contribut at all to that team's success?
That. I won't say that, but I think his situation was extremely favorable, and he had good play. Let's not act like the Gallinari and even a 38, something like that, Chris Paul, Shea Gilgeous, like these are talented guys. They just didn't seem to fit together. Steven Adams is a talented player. They just didn't seem to go together. So it's not like he had trash. It just wasn't a put-together team. I just think he gets a lot of love, and I hated seeing the Bulls being one of the top names. because I think he's Scott Brooks. I think he's Brett Brown, a guy with talent on the team who's not a coach.
I don't even think he either of them. I just think he's just a college coach.
I think he's going back to college. That's what I was going to bring up.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, I think he's going back to college. I don't see why he wouldn't, because I think the NBA is too much for him. You know, like I wasn't defending him, not saying, but I still think that he still contributed somewhat to that team this year. You know, like I'm torn between him, but like I obviously don't want him as a Bulls head coach because he's going to bring nothing to this franchise. But I'm not as hard on him as I'm not as hard on him as you guys are.
Well, he inherited Kevin Durant and Westbrook. You go back to that series with Golden State where they were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals and lost that series. How do you have two players like that, and you as a coach?
But you're blaming the coach. You're only blaming the coach for that, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's a way you got to get to your play. I'm not just blaming him.
So,
but
he only got the 1 year. Real quick, I'm gonna go back to you, Will, because you brought up a really good point. He inherited Kevin Durant and Westbrook, and then they would let go of that 3-1. But he only had 1 year of Kevin Durant, and it's funny that he only had the 1 year because KD, as we know, left to join the Warriors. But part of the reason why Scott Brooks was fired and Donovan was brought in was to retain Kevin Durant. And it ended up not even working out anyway. So go ahead. Well, I just had to throw that in there because I found that to be a very funny point to bring up when talking about his the need to bring him in as the head coach.
Yeah, all I'm saying is I could have got that team over that 3-1. That's all I'm saying. With Kevin Durant and Westbrook, it's a way you gotta find a way to get to them guys if you that type of coach that they looking for. Like you said, that was the reason they brought him in. But again, he's just a college coach to me.
Right, but in the NBA, it's all about the superstars. You know that. You need to have superstars. And for the most part, coaching is set off to the side. You know, when you have the superstars, I feel like it's up to the players when you're up 3-1 to close that series yourself.
It's up to the players, but the coach got to have a psychology, be able to get to your superstar, to get them to another gear. Yeah, it's up to your superstar, but that's what your coach is for, is to motivate, right? Is that the biggest factor?
See what you're not seeing as a person removed from the situation, strategically putting pieces in and taking them out when it fits. I don't see that kind of stuff from Donovan. Now, granted, I'm not watching them every game, so I'm not going to say that I'm fine-tooth comb with this, but I just when it mattered, their offense bogged down. They didn't seem to be running any sets. You don't. Again, he didn't. I just think his contributions, not necessarily by you.
Coach.
Yeah, exactly. He just was kind of there and was able to manage it, and maybe that's what you look for. There. I have a hard time giving a guy 2 Hall of Famers, and then it wasn't like he went to scrubs after KD left. He had Victor Oladipo, who had a breakout after leaving, and then credited Westbrook for helping him with that.
Point. That's the best point right there. Oladipo leaving and having a career year the following season.
PG came and then bounced out first chance he got, which was probably the best thing to happen to Westbrook. I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
I'm not a fan of Billy Donovan as a potential Bulls coach either. The one thing that does make me consider it is the fact if this rumor does come from a solid place and if AK is actually thinking Billy Donovan would be the fit for this roster, sure, that might be the thing then. Because honestly, I might be putting way too much faith in Arturas right now as the president of basketball operations. It just could be that I'm too excited that there's something else there in that role, somebody else there in that role. That could be my issue, but I think I'm blindly following him the same way I blindly followed Ryan Pace when he got to the Bears. I realized how bad that sounds right now.
Yeah. Ouch. Wow.
And there hasn't been a game played underneath him yet. Yeah.
Matthew, what are your thoughts on this, man? Are you feeling Billy Donovan to the shy?
We mentioned Chris Paul, and I was wondering if we could sweeten the deal to have another point guard join the ranks of coaching, because Look, the difference between Billy Donovan coaching, I don't know, Florida for the last 20 years and Billy Donovan coaching Oklahoma City is he hasn't gotten to do the talent evaluating job. I'm not suggesting give him more power, not like make him the GM or anything like that, but he's a guy who has done more with less. I mean, the SEC is consistently not a good basketball conference, but you look at the number of years he was able to get to the NCAA tournament and really rank really high. I mean, he ranked as high as 1st, 7th, 2nd, 20th, 17th in all, like being ranked at the end of the season from an SEC school. This isn't football. SEC struggles in basketball, and he's really good at finding talent in unexpected places. In the NBA, that's not your job. Your job is to run plays and see who has the hot hand, put them in and out. There's not as much there as far as tactics in Florida that he had to do. It was more of I had to go in the home, convince the player, recruit. Thank you. Convince the players like Joakim Noah and Al Horford to play.
Corey Brewer,
yeah. Hey, you get those names there. It's actually kind of similar. You get those names in OKC. Sure, he can go to the playoffs, but the last 4 years he's been bounced out of the playoffs in the first round.
Yep.
Yeah, 1 win, 2 wins, 1 wins. Other than this year, we got 3 wins, and that's like the big accomplishment. Wow, he got close to getting out of the first round. I mean, what are we really praising this guy for?
Matt, forget about the 15 minutes he coached for Orlando.
Oh yeah, see, it doesn't even come up on the stats
because I forgot about it too.
Literally doesn't come up on the stats. I keep forgetting about that. Good
he
call.
He pulled the Bill Belichick of the Giants.
That doesn't not a thing. All right,
you know what?
It sounds like we're all in accord on one accord with
a little lukewarm on that.
Lukewarm.
Real quick though, the SEC is not that bad in college basketball.
Kentucky,
Recently.
Kentucky.
How are you just gonna roll over Kentucky right now? I mean, come on, bro.
Dude,
we got the college basketball
it's top heavy. It's top heavy. SEC's top heavy, right? But they're not a slouch like the Pac-12. You know, like come on.
I'm okay. Every division has 1 or 2 good teams. Yes, they're top heavy, but you look at the Atlantic 10 and stuff like that, and they're a little bit better, but they're not the Big 10, the ACC. You know, I'm just saying they're not the top tier.
Yeah, that's it. They're not the Big 10. They're not the ACC. Those are the 2 best conferences in college basketball.
I was trying to get you know. I was trying to
in the tournament. Like,
I was trying to give the man props, but apparently I can't even do that for Tony. So that's okay.
I'm sorry.
You're right.
I just had to get something out there because I'm still furious that the tournament didn't happen. So I just
as an Illinois fan, I'm upset too.
Yeah.
And they were actually be there. They may have won a game too.
Okay. All right. Hey, our draft pick, our guys that would go to the NBA this year said no because they wanted to win a championship. If you look at the Illinois stuff, but anyway, that's another story.
Championship though.
That's what they committed to. I'm not saying it's going to happen. That's what they committed to.
I love how we go off on tangents like this. I'm sorry. I started it.
Basketball. I did not think that was going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
This is we can no longer bury the lead, though. We have to talk about the return of the NFL. As on time as it's on time. The NFL started on time. They cut out stuff. They shut things down and they started on time with fans. I said it early on that the NFL was going to act like it wasn't nothing happening as long as possible.
Ain't nothing.
Do the bare minimum that they had to make sure they could do what they could do, and voila! And it was a hit. It was the highest rated sports program since the Super Bowl.
Not everything was a hit though last night.
Yeah, the unity part.
Before we get into the actual game, I think we saw proof positive that people's complaints were never really with when things were happening. It was that things were happening at all. Players chose to not be present, not be present for either the national anthem or Lift Every Voice, and instead, after them came out and linked arms in a sign both teams in a sign of unity. They were roundly booed by the audience.
Well, it wasn't
the same audience that not 5 minutes later was throwing tomahawk chops in the stands. So listen, for anybody who at this point is still on the fence and says that they are doing something in that flag thing, that anthem thing, fam, They went about it as obligingly as possible.
They did.
And it still got the same response.
Hey, there's never a good time to protest racial injustice to racists. I'm not calling everyone in the stands there last night such.
No,
They're in Missouri, bro. They're in Missouri.
Hey, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. As a Cubs fan, I have the thoughts about every Cardinal fan. It's like when they were giving my guy Dexter Fowler grief about. Oh man!
Oh my goodness!
I was just like, "Come home, Dex. Come home." Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that with. I mean, we had the whole episode 2 weeks ago about it, and there are two camps when it comes to this. There's two, and it's not political because the Dolphins had their video too. It's not political. It's not a black or right. It's literally right or wrong when it comes to human rights and, you know, the treatment of other human beings, your fellow mankind. Yeah, there ain't no gray area when it comes to this, man.
See, we don't have to litigate this any further. We got our proof that it has nothing to do with the anthem for the people who are upset about it. That's not the problem at all. It's literally that they are, dude, and that's what made it so great because there was a Twitter, and I think I might have shared. If not, I'll retweet it later. A person who was complaining and saying that, they're doing this kneeling thing, even though, like I said, it was after the anthem. They were turning. They weren't going to be watching anymore. And then not 5 minutes later, they're talking about oh, man, that Patrick Mahomes is pretty good.
I saw that.
No, fam. You don't get to tweet that. You need to go ahead and log off, go and read you a book, mind your business.
You saw all the bots, like, tweet the same exact thing about, that's it. I've been a season ticket holder. I'm not renewing.
Yeah, Mr. American Sports Guy 609453725. Yeah, those guys.
Don't call out Carter like that, man. Don't call out Jason Carter like that.
Names, damn. Okay. Sniper on the roof. Yeah, man, look, if you still thought that, shame on you anyway, but if you still trying to argue that now, there's nothing to even talk about because you clearly just don't want to know. Like, there's no mincing words here. They clearly just were upset that the players had a message that they want to get across that apparently they don't agree with. I mean,
they weren't trying to hear it.
Dude, like I said, the whole thing for the past, 4 years?
Disrespecting the flag.
Fam!
Completely separated. You might as well put up a wall between them and that, like the anthem and this.
Fam, and they still got booed. And they didn't do any kneeling, so it wasn't like it wasn't the symbol. I can't even say the word right now.
Well, the one guy that kneeled was on the Chiefs too, right?
I mean, there was one player that kneeled on.
There was one,
and it was on the Chiefs.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't. But he didn't do it during. Didn't they go in? They were.
It was during the national anthem for sure.
Houston stayed. Yeah, Houston stayed in the locker room.
Yeah.
The Chiefs were out. Houston was in the locker room. They talked about it before, so they would
together. Like fan.
Yep,
Speaking of Houston, J.J. Watt cannot honestly be surprised.
So, listen. I'm never in any, no matter, it's weird, but in any mass gathering, right? No reaction surprises me. None. Because once you get a big enough pocket, it's going to spread. That's just how it works. So I'm never shocked with if they'd all started cheering, I might have been like, but I probably still wouldn't have been surprised because I'd have been like, nah, these people they knew it was going to happen, so that's why they're there. It's a bad look. The wool is off the wolf, right? The sheep's clothing is now off the wolf. We know what's happening here. There's no hiding
give the league credit for trying.
No, I don't give them credit for shit.
They tried. They tried
to get on the trend
and avoid in the NFL though. I mean,
hey, honestly, to me, this is like it's gonna be a never in the battle. It's gonna be a merry-go-round, bro. I mean, I'm saying. Like I'm probably like the oldest guy on here. I'm like 43. I go back to one of the biggest things that I saw.
48. I don't know what you're talking about.
Huh?
My soul's at 65, bro. What you at?
But no, I go back when I was in college, man. One of the things that I learned in a sociology class, man, a guy who didn't grow up around black folks, just grew around his people and what he was taught. And we were talking about black and white social issues. And one of the things he said was, why do we have to learn anything about Black history? What did they do? What did Black people do for the country? What did they bring to us that's good for us to learn?
Who said this?
And
What
I was
year?
this
What
was
year?
like 97, 96, 97. I went to
I was 6.
Trinity. What was that? Trinity International University, Deerfield.
Okay.
And this is a small Christian school.
Yeah.
So we in a sociology class, and this guy, and mind you, like half the football team is in half the football.
The
team
height
is in
of
this
Michael
class.
Jordan. Like
Exactly. and he said, I mean, like he said it like with no issue. And me, I looked around. I think I stopped. I turned around and I said, "What?" The teacher looked like, oh, and this little white lady. She looked like, oh, she had that look in her
she was
face.
ready to call
Like,
police.
What am I gonna do about
Yeah,
this?
like what? What just happened?
Oh dang!
I can think about doing something. There's nothing I can do to stop whatever he does.
And that's just one person. Just imagine
Yeah.
how many people. I don't know how many brothers and sisters he had, or how many other
Always-
people think that way or been taught that way. So it's just gonna be a merry-go-round, bro. We ain't gonna never get off. We just hope it slow down and don't go around too many times, but it's gonna keep going.
As long as I get to ride the unicorn, man, it might be okay. But yeah, you're right. It is a cycle, though. It's a cyclical thing. Like, something happens, there's outrage, we protest, it dies down. Something else happens, we're outraged, we're protest, something dies down. It's a cycle. Like, it's almost like clockwork. You're going to have about, give it 3 weeks about between the next thing and whatever's going to happen now.
Hmm.
It's terrible to say that, but that's how it has been. We've been given the proof in 2020 alone, as terrible as that is. 2020 is
I think that's why I hate the leagues getting behind it now so much, because they had so much time to do so, and it took all of this for them to finally support the people who make up a majority of their workforce. That's always been a shock to me. But
80%, I think.
there was a game that was played after all that hatred was displayed from the stands, and it was a good game. Despite it being pretty lopsided, it was still entertaining to watch.
Oh yeah.
Preseason, schmee season when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, because they came out there and handled business. The Texans opened up with a touchdown, got a 7-0 lead, and that was all she wrote, because they didn't see the lead again for the rest of the night, as Kansas City scored 31 unanswered points. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, for everybody who drafted him in their fantasy football league, woo woo. My man put on a show. Buck plus touchdowns. He did a little bit of everything. Had some nasty jump cuts. Maurice Jones-Drew said that he reminded him of himself. So I have to ask, what is everybody's impression? First, let's talk about Kansas City. Matthew, what are your thoughts about Kansas City and what we saw last night?
It's hard to say I'm impressed with Patrick Mahomes, but every single time I'm impressed with Patrick Mahomes. But what I will say is that Kansas City offensive line did an excellent job. And not to take anything away from that Clyde, because Clyde the Glide they're bringing that nickname back all the way from basketball.
That's true. That's what's up. He earned it, I think, after one game.
He looked great, especially in the second level. But I have to say, it looked like a college football game back in Texas Tech for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you have J.J. Watt, and I'm sorry, I don't even remember all the other pass rushers' names.
Whitney Merciless.
Yeah, Whitney Merciless didn't show up. I'm sorry. He did not.
Non-existent. Yep.
Yeah. It was a college football game through and through for Kansas City.
Tell me, what are your thoughts about this, man? We saw some firepower out there. Sammy Watkins was getting off. How do you feel about the offense of the Chiefs?
Sammy Watkins is a week 1 anomaly. Just throwing that out there.
You can't be giving out free game, bro. You gotta remember.
That's it. Week 1 this year, week 1 last year. He's gonna provide nothing for you throughout the rest of the year. Okay. But I loved Clyde Edwards-Helaire going into this season, and he shined. He had a little bit of an issue at the goal line, but that was only because his offensive line completely failed him.
That's a blocking
completely
issue.
failed him. He had 7 goal line carries, and he couldn't get past the line of scrimmage in any of those 7 carries. But if he
that was the one time Houston's talented D-line showed.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. The one that stuck out, obviously, to everyone was J.J. Watt screaming down the line, spins out of that tackle, and gets laced by the his partner, defensive tackle. That was scary, considering that watching Clyde Edwards-Helaire at LSU, he actually looked a little bigger in college, and then you watch him in the NFL, you're like, whoa.
He
looks a lot smaller than I expected.
They showed him by the lineman, and I told my girlfriend at the time, I was just yelling, is he like 5'6"? What is that?
He is. He's like 5'7". Yeah.
I didn't know he was that
5'7",
small either. And following
like
the whole draft, I thought he was 5'10", 5'11". I did not know he was that little.
Coming to knock the wind out of everybody, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Bruh, MJ, he's really Maurice Jones-Drew reincarnate. It's crazy.
Yeah. One of my
real quick, TP, sorry. He's not MJ. I mean, I tried making the comparison earlier to MJD, but MJD had like 4.4 speed, like 4.3 speed. I'm not saying Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Oh, MJD was fast.
No.
And he was a power runner. Oh, yeah. MJD was fast, and he was a straight power runner. Like, he would run through you he was a straight bowling ball. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire has way more finesse. That one cut that he made on Justin Reed for that touchdown run was dirty. It was dirty. He has so much talent. It's crazy that they got him in the first round at the last pick of the first round.
Everybody slept on him. Wow.
KC, hey, Patrick Mahomes, man, is a cheat code. He's the human cheat code. I think that first quarter was their preseason. Where it turned for me.
You need a quarter, huh? Let me get a quarter. We'll be good, coach.
that second before halftime with 25 seconds left, when Houston didn't convert on like that third and
fourth down,
6,
they didn't go for it.
Yeah, right. They didn't go for it. They punted it. And he got the ball with 25 seconds and drove him down there. Damn, they got a touchdown.
What you expect? Yes.
That's what I'm saying. He a cheat code.
It's not fair.
Then I mean, how? Well, I'm glad for Andy Reid. I think because I see Kansas City like it's hard to go against them not getting to the Super Bowl again. I know that's tough in the NFL, but they can do it.
Especially the Patriots, yeah.
Then how do you go from a Cadillac to a Maserati truck
in one off season
with one pick? And you know what was funny with the stat I heard last night about Edwards-Helaire? He had the most rushing yards for a rookie on the Super Bowl winning team.
That's insane.
And then he don't shy away from contact.
No,
right, that last what was that when they goal line stands them, he almost got a touchdown. He got knocked down by his own player. Who was that he trucked? Guy tried to tackle him, he dug down.
The safety.
He was like 6 inches from the ground, man. It just
he's already about
boom.
2 inches from the ground. Anyway.
Real quick, that's the one thing that scared me is that he has such a low center of gravity. It's tough to take him down. So it almost looked a couple times when he was getting tackled, his leg was getting caught in the ground. I'm like, look, this is your first year, bro. I know you're trying to impress people, but you need to go down when you know you're about to go down because you don't want to give yourself an injury.
He started doing the tuck a little bit later in the game. We saw him pulling those legs up a little bit as he was going down. I noticed that too. That was a good eye. Let's talk about the other side. Bill O'Brien seems to be trying to.
Should we?
I mean, look, we all knew that trading away DeAndre Hopkins, arguably, I think, the best receiver in the game, would be a problem. But damn, they struggled all the way up until they started going to the hurry up. Their best offensive weapon most of the night was David Johnson, the guy they got back. But obviously,
their best offensive weapon got traded over the offseason.
And he threw some shade after the game too.
Grateful.
Bruh, like, come on, man. That's about they. And then I know Deshaun Watson had just cashed that check and then had to go and play that game and look at them receivers out there not getting open and fighting for the pass.
And dropping balls. Not
That's
just
what-
knocking.
yeah.
Oh.
I'm surprised at how many balls Will Fuller dropped, man.
Well,
The very first one.
It was
What-
2.
what surprised me
Like,
about Will Fuller?
Adolescent boys locker room.
What surprised me about the game the most of Will Fuller was that he basically assumed the DeAndre Hopkins role and absorbed all the targets. He had 8 catches.
Yeah.
Now that's a lot of that's because they were in catch up mode, but you saw when it got to that point, Watson go back into that tunnel vision and kind of locked in on him. So if he can stay healthy, he could be in for a big year. But staying healthy has never been his forte, and it's never been their other receiver Brandon Cook's forte, and it's never been Kenny Still's thing, and it's never been Randall Cobb's thing. Like, this is a problem. Oh, and the running back that they got, and knock on wood, because that's my running back in a few leagues, but he's had some issues recently with staying healthy. And you
Duke
can't
Johnson
block for
got
shit.
injured during that
Duke
game.
Bro, they lost the back.
They both got injured.
Right.
David Johnson went out first.
Right, he just shrugged
Then
it
Duke
off.
Johnson got hurt, and David Johnson came back in.
I know I drafted David Johnson round 1, pick 1, and that was the year he got hurt in game 1.
Thank you.
I'm
That's
good
me
on
too.
him since then.
I'm right there with you. Yep.
Well,
Can't trust me.
it was a value in this draft. He was like
Yeah.
round 7, and
sure.
there were no.
He was
backs.
actually going round 4, round 5 in a lot of the drafts that I was in, but I'm like, oh, wow, that's a reach. And then I watched him last night. I'm like, man, why didn't I draft him?
You hope you get him and then do like with Watkins, you can move him hopefully later on in the season.
Exactly, yeah. Well, compared to Watkins, I mean, let's be honest. David Johnson's going to be a bigger part of this. Bigger part of this offense compared to Watkins, because I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs have so many options. How is Patrick Mahomes going to spread these targets out? That's why Mecole Hardman had 1 reception, and it was on a little shovel pass. And I was high on Hardman this year. I'm like, he has to see a higher volume, but there's no way because there's so many options. That's why Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in a room of his own, because he's the running back. How can you not be high on CEH this year,
Yeah, and
getting options from out the backfield.
They threw him They threw him passes, but he didn't catch them. But he's getting air and
2
ground
targets.
usage.
CEH had 2 targets. Hey,
apparently, I think that might be all he needs to make something happen.
It's only going to go up from there.
Yeah.
If he actually catches them.
Especially if Robinson drops more, like he dropped a touchdown.
I do want to point out this was the second time in about January 6th. This is September, but in 8 months.
It's 2020. I got you.
Second time in 8 months that the Texans have allowed the Chiefs to run up 30+ points on them in a row. That's bad.
That's a lot of missed calls, Joe.
We'll wrap up on this one. What games are you guys looking forward to the most? Obviously, Bears, Lions. I think we're all Chicago guys, even though Tyler's now in Colorado and Tony's out there in Detroit.
I see my boy.
I'm not in Detroit. I'm in Southwest Michigan, but I'm still in the Eastern time zone.
Okay.
I'm still in the Eastern time zone, which,
Detroit.
mind you, it's going to be a lot of sleepless nights.
Oh.
It's going to be a lot of sleepless nights. I watched Thursday Night Football last night. Early night, I'm not going to miss Thursday Night Football. Are you kidding me? And it was...
You won all right. On a regular now.
It was a slow day. Let's just put it like that.
What games are you guys looking forward to this week? We'll start with you.
I'm looking forward to see what Cam gonna do in New England.
Hey,
New England.
Love it, Will. Love it.
New England and the Dolphins. I never ever said I was ready to see New England play a game. That game, and I'm interested to see the Buccaneers and Saints. That's gonna be a heck of a first game of the year.
Matthew,
I'm looking forward to Arizona and San Francisco. A couple people that got paid, not just traded, but you got the big deal for DeAndre Hopkins, and you also have why would I ever space on this man's name? George Kittle. I got to put some respect on his name. George Kittle, who somehow got left off of the top 10 most interesting people in the NFL. I'll never understand how.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Kirk Cousins got up there, but he didn't. No, inexcusable. Kirk Cousins
No, I don't like that.
No, I don't like that. San Francisco versus Arizona is going to be a great match of styles. One's going to try to punch you in the face, and the other one's going to try to beat you with just aerial tactics. I mean, 3 really good wide receivers in Christian Kirk. You have the soon-to-be Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald, and the money, DeAndre Hopkins. I'm just going to call him money right now because he's looking good in the neighborhood.
I thought Melo was money, Matt. What's up?
Kyler Murray.
Well, I've never said money. I've never been that high on Melo in about 10 years. So we're not going to go there again.
No, I said Mela.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Carmella. I apologize. I got triggered. My bad.
Back to basketball.
Mela is
so much Melo hate. We got to talk you off that ledge, man.
Yeah,
Kyler
we can.
Murray's my preseason pick for MVP this year, but we'll talk about that another time.
I'm salty. I'm still salty at him for turning down a chance to play with Chauncey Billups and actually win in Denver. It's a long grudge. Don't worry.
Well, you could be salty on Detroit for not drafting him and pairing him and Chauncey earlier.
Sure. There's plenty of reasons to be mad at the city of Detroit.
Yeah,
I don't think
Darko.
there's
Wow.
one.
Tone, what games are you looking forward to this weekend, man? You got any hot bets you cooking up?
Yeah, the one I've really been looking into is Dallas, the Sunday night game, the Cowboys against the Rams. 2 high-scoring offenses. I think Jared Goff is going to rebound this year. Unfortunately, I have 0 shares of him because I drafted my quarterbacks early in a lot of fantasy drafts this year.
That was you,
No,
huh?
that wasn't me. I actually drafted in the Writers League. I actually drafted a quarterback late. I'm trying to think. I can't even think. I'm in so many leagues this year. I don't even know what quarterback I drafted in our league. But I'm looking at the over right here. It's sitting at 50.5, and that's the second highest total. I bet the over in the last night's game, the Texans against the Chiefs, and of course, if I would have went to FanDuel, I would have got it at 53.5. And guess what I bet it on? I bet it on DraftKings. I got it at 54, and it was a push. I've never kissed my sister in my life. I hate it. Are you kidding me? Come on. But anyway, 2 high-scoring offenses. I'm looking at Dak to win the MVP this year at plus 1,400. Yeah, I know. Hey, a lot of people hate on the Cowboys. I'm looking at the Cowboys to win the division this year. I'm looking at at Dak to win MVP. There's this whole drama with what's his name and Dak talking crap about his depression. Skip. Yeah, I hate Skip. I hate
I don't like the
I hate
culture.
Skip.
I don't like the culture of the morning sports talk show now. I don't like the constant headlines.
But they're just trying to get there. But that's a whole. I'm not trying to go off on another tangent.
You pay me that much money, I probably do it too, though. Tyler, man, what games are you looking forward to this week?
I'm looking to Lakers Rock. Oh wait, I'm sorry. So Will had mentioned the first game in the post Brady era with Pat's Dolphins. I'm kind of really interested in the other side of that coin being Bucks Saints. And I believe, Tone, can you back me up on this? Is Brady still an underdog for his first game as a Buccaneer?
That is a fact. Last time I checked, it was
to me.
I actually have the Bucks winning the division. I'm not gonna get into it because I could talk for days about this, but currently, the last time I saw, they were a 3.5 point dog.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
Indoors. That's
you.
Easy money. All the money go to Tampa. All the money on Tampa. I'm sorry.
Not only would I take them against the spread, I'll take a money line. Are you kidding me?
Straight up, too, bro. Yeah.
This Bucks defense is so underrated this year.
Mike Evans, even with a doubtful Mike Evans, you still got 3 tight ends that'll probably be a starter on any other team in this league.
Man.
Hey.
And they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel.
Thomas.
They love
Mike
their
Thomas.
tight ends.
Mike Thomas going to catch all the passes. Well, not just him, though. They got Emmanuel Sanders now. I don't know the last time they had a number 2 receiver that talented.
That's what I'm saying. They can't pay too much attention. They can't leave Emmanuel Sanders by himself.
Man.
And Michael Thomas, he catches everything.
If you're bullish
Everything
on
comes his
Emmanuel
way.
Sanders, I mean, come on. Who did Drew Brees go out and go to the wrong house during the pandemic?
No,
I mean,
that was Tampa Bay Tommy.
Come on, let's.
He's new to the
Be real
area.
here.
He didn't know it was there.
Tom Brady can do whatever he wants to.
Yeah,
That's why they
exactly.
didn't press
Tom
no
Brady.
charges.
Tom
He got
Brady.
that
That's
Tom
why
Brady
he didn't
was.
get arrested.
Are none of
He
us
broke
looking
in.
for the
He broke into
game?
their house. They apologized to him.
Like,
Tom
I'm sorry,
Brady
this
tried
is
to
the
get
wrong
right
house.
as soon as he put ink to paper, bro. He is all business. He's trying to prove all his doubters wrong, and he's already the GOAT. Come on, are you kidding me? Who thinks like that? Tom Brady is insane. He's gonna have a good year.
And you don't think that's gonna drive Drew Brees?
It's gonna be a duel. They're gonna be duking it out this year.
Tom Brady makes
upset
Michael Jordan look reasonable.
I'm upset we won't get the Brady Brees Super Bowl though. That hurts. I really wanted to see that last year. We're not gonna get a chance to see that.
Hey, Matt, I know I'm big in conspiracy theories. How about this? Tom's nutritionist led to him being not re-signed in New England.
The strawberry dude? Yeah, maybe.
It's not just that.
I don't think it helped. I mean,
It
the
didn't
whole-
help.
Yeah,
It ain't
exactly.
just that.
Thank you, Matt.
It was
yeah, I
tough.
don't.
Actually booted him from the locker, like banned him from Team
Yeah, but he was a dick.
That's-
He was a dick and was,
Yeah, I
and was
can-
stepping on toes around. That was the problem.
I mean-
It wasn't
Yeah.
just that he was giving Tom nutritional. He was an
Hey,
asshole.
he must have been pretty big if he was stepping on toes.
He was pretty big because it was Tom's boy.
Yes,
mean,
man.
Look, man.
Dude, it's Belichick. He set
My,
better talent in the Super Bowl. He'll do anything to send a
Man.
message.
That's why Belichick was trying to trade him 2 years earlier.
2 years earlier.
Mm.
My 3 games, or my games that I'm watching, 2 games actually. No, it's 3. Cincinnati and the Chargers, because I want to
Go
see
Burrow, let's go.
I'm mad Justin Herbert won't be playing, but Joe Burrow will be.
AJ back. AJ
back. Another one, Seattle versus Atlanta. Todd Gurley down there in Atlanta. I want to see if he still has some juice. They've already kind of said that he's not the Todd Gurley of old. I want to see what this new Todd Gurley looks like.
Yo, what are the odds on Russ's MVP?
They don't like Russ.
Yeah, the throughout this entire offseason, the hashtag Let Russ Cook.
They try
That
to trade
Pete Carroll.
Russ.
You know,
Disgusting.
Pete Carroll. All Pete Carroll wants to do is run the ball. They're a run-heavy team. That's what they do. That's why.
Unless you're on the
then-
goal line, then no
Right,
running
yeah.
the
Then they
ball.
want to
Yeah,
pass.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that
And
was
then,
Derek Bevel, and now that's why he's in
Oh,
Detroit
yeah.
now. All right, that was
And then-
that was entirely
Head coach has no
the
say in the
offense coordinator.
offense. Mhm.
My last,
Oh,
my
come
last game.
on,
I'm
bro.
surprised nobody said this one. Packers Vikings. No Bear
No
fan wants
interest.
to. You don't want to see what the competition looks like.
There's
Man.
gonna be
I'll watch it
so
for
much.
Dalvin Cook because I got a fantasy.
Yeah.
There's gonna be so much spiteful football played by so many talented quarterbacks this year. You look
Mhm.
at Aaron Rodgers, you look at Cam Newton, you look at Ben Roethlisberger,
Tom.
you look at Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, all these people that have the biggest of chips on their shoulders.
Yeah, this is the biggest year
Mitchell
where
Trubisky?
veteran court. There goes my point. Just kill the
I like
mood,
about it.
Josh.
One thing that's gonna hurt me this season is I had to silently
Mitch?
root
Yeah,
for,
I'm with
no,
you,
not
Will.
him. I have to silently root for Aaron Rodgers because I have him on one of my
Will,
fantasy
stop
teams.
it, bro.
It
No,
hurts
I
drafting
think
one of my
Packers.
Devontae
fantasy
Adams in the
quarterbacks.
It
second
hurts
round.
drafting Packers, man. I have a Devontae
Zero.
Adams share.
I'm in 7 fantasy football leagues. 0 shares of Green Bay Packers on.
How much
on my
money are you
roster.
deep into fantasy football?
Honestly, or just
Oh, it's hard.
It's-
Honestly, or what?
Yeah.
the total has to be asked that. And you really want to know?
close to $400. Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not
yeah.
even counted. But you play daily too, though.
Ask me at the end of the season. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That's going to do it for this roundtable, man. Join us here next week. We'll probably do it Thursday again. Maybe not. I don't know. Friday was kind of cool. We'll see what happens with it. But we are going to have some more great topics. Before we get out of here, of course, I'm Josh Buckalter. Hit me up on Twitter, Joshy Buck. Facebook page, Clocker Sports. Website, clockersports.com. Email address, clockersports@gmail.com. Fellas, we'll start with you, Tone.
I'm so excited for football. I mean, I like I said, I'm gonna have a lot of sleepless nights. Sunday night football, Monday night football, Thursday night football. I'm all in on football, on the NFL, college football tomorrow. We didn't even talk about college football tomorrow. I have so
That
many
means-
good plays.
So that means
I'm gonna tweet it.
We got some betting articles coming too, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna tweet tomorrow, and then I'm gonna get fully invested on week 1 bets for Sunday. But I'm all in on football, man. College football, NFL football. Follow me at Tony Guzman Jr. on Twitter, and that's mainly where I spend most of my time.
Brother.
All right, Will Clark, of course. That big Will C77.
I love Will.
Twitter as well as Instagram, William D. Clark. On Facebook, my government. And good luck to you guys and the rest of the fantasy.
Oh yeah.
Well, we need to talk about your draft, Will. I was.
Will.
Hey, I got snaked like 4, 5, 6, 7 times in
Hold
that
on,
draft, man.
You got sniped? How did you? If you off me?
No, I think Tyler took Josh Jacobs from me. That was gonna be
Will drafted everybody he wanted to, obviously, because his projected points are like 20 points more than everyone else. And he had the first pick in the draft. How is Will not getting sniped off of everyone else?
I keep trying to tell people, man, having the first or last pick is probably the best because you can.
I've been wanting to vent so bad off of Will's team. I'm just gonna stop giving him credit. That's it.
Well, you gotta do your homework, bro.
Tyler.
Yeah, Will throwing out a message like the first day yesterday. Today begins the first look. Today
Will
begins
was
my
ready.
championship run.
McCaffrey, Mahomes.
I'm in another league with Will too. I'm not gonna even lie. Will was talking shit in the other league too. He talked shit in the other league first.
I didn't know Will was ready to talk shit like this.
I woke up to a message like y'all finna lose. Damn, brother, it's 6 o'clock in the
We shouldn't be
morning.
surprised though with how Will always be having the stats though.
For real.
The numbers. Of course, he did the fantasy research. You know that. You know this, man.
The worst thing though is Will getting the first pick in our draft. Obviously, that's the worst thing that happened to us. Furious. When I had the second pick, and I'm like, what's going on over here?
Tyler, where can the people find you?
Had nothing to do with that, bro.
They can find me way out here in Colorado amongst the mountains, but Tyler
Physically
Big
and
T
literally.
Pearson on Facebook and Instagram. T_Pearson 10-4 on the Twitters. Numbers 10 letters FOUR. Also the show No Countouts Pod on Twitter. Just No Countouts Pod. No underscores. Nothing. No Countouts Pod.
Matthew.
Yeah, you can find me on M_Broski21. Hey, and Tone's exactly right. Football is here and all about it. English football starts tomorrow. I know this is in the crowd for it. Oh, really?
Let's go.
All right.
EPL.
Let's go, EPL. Absolutely. My Saints are playing tomorrow, so I'm excited for them. And there's going to be one more article from me about Fulham joining the Premier League that was supposed to come out, but then I had to write that WWE article. But anyway, find me on Twitter, M_Broski21.
Jimenez.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Okay.
That's going to do it for us, y'all. Check us out at clockersports.com. Until the very next time, you know what time it is.